morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Sunday, November the something. Who cares? It's all the same day to me. Today, I want to talk about the Temple, Texas Police Department. Now, I've seen many videos of some really shitty cops. I mean, some that I don't think they should even be humans, let alone cops. The Temple Police Department, I went one day to talk to the chief of police about during the George Floyd thing. You know, cops were running like hell. They're trying to get out of there before they get caught doing what it is they were doing. So I asked for the chief of police. I figured they were going to send some person out there, information person, to tell me what it was I needed to know. Well, guess who walks out that door? The chief of police himself. And we had quite a talk about different things, how many people he lost during the George Floyd defund the police bullshit. And he said he lost 0, which in my mind I thought, 0, you're full of shit. But what he said was some moved on, some, police career isn't always some place that people go to stay the rest of their life. They go to get some type of a training, and then they'll move on to another job. I understand that. Some moved up into the state senate. Some just moved on because they wanted to move on. I don't know. But he was a very nice guy, very well educated. I told him I was going to do an op-ed on the Temple Police. He wasn't sure what an op-ed was, so he was kind of hesitant about talking to me. But he did talk to me, and I learned a lot of things. When a police officer, if you're having trouble getting police officers, you have to offer them certain things, to get them to stay if they're good cops. As far as I know, all Temple policemen drive their service unit home, and they're free to use it as they please. They can go to the grocery store, mama's house, whatever. They just can't use the sirens and lights and all that stuff. Well, I've had a few run-ins with the Temple Police Department. I was the First Amendment auditor until my health got to me, and then I had to stop. But when the police would come to me, the number one thing, they got to get their crack, give me your driver, give me your ID. And I asked them, am I under arrest? And they said no. And I said, well, then I'm not giving you my ID. And rather than get an ego problem and get all pissy and stupid, they would start asking me questions. Why are you out here? What is your purpose? Why are you filming all these businesses? You scared a little girl in the office. She's made her car alarm go off so that you would leave, and you didn't leave. And I said, well, I was never on their property, and I was just walking around looking. And he said, doesn't bother you that it scares this little girl? Well, freedom's scary. It really is. And her fear is not my problem, My things that I do, I don't stop because somebody's afraid. I was at a Lowe's in Temple just standing there doing my thing, taking videos of cars as they came out. And this one man had 3 kids in his pickup truck. He just couldn't let it go. He just could not let it go. He cursed me and I cursed him back, I'm not gonna lie. And he kept coming up to me, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you. And he, where's my gun? Get my gun. So he leaves. I thought he left. I thought, he'd run his mouth and overloaded his ass, and he left, and he turned around and came back, and he parked down the way, and he comes at me with what I could see was both his hands, but it looked like he might have been holding a gun. I didn't see a gun, so I didn't panic. He gets within 2 inches of my face, telling me, turn that camera off. You don't have any business, blah, 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 all that crap they say. And he went back to his truck a second time. I want my gun. Give me my gun. I'm going to shoot this motherfucker. And he comes back this time, and I can only see one hand clearly. I didn't really believe he had a gun, but I was prepared. I was prepared for him to have a gun. At this time, I was unarmed. All I had was pepper spray. He comes up to me, gets in my face, I'm going to shoot you. You're going to die today, blah, blah, blah. And I mouthed off something to him, to shoot me or something, or beat me up, or do whatever he was going to do, or go the fuck away and leave me alone. Well, he goes back to his truck, and he says, I've got my gun this time. And he walks up with his hand behind his back. One hand behind his back. I could not see this hand. I didn't know. I didn't know whether to run, stand my ground. Was he really going to shoot me? I'm not out here to get shot over. And he comes right up in my face and raises his arm up like he has a gun in his hand. And I pepper sprayed that man until he was on the ground screaming and crying. Well, somebody called the police. The man did not have a gun. I have to admit, he did not have a gun. Somebody called the police. There must have been 10 police cars show up there. And I told them the story. They, instead of being assholes, about this camera stuff, they listened to my story. He said, can you show me back where this started from? I reeled my cell phone camera back, and I showed him the video of it, and he went over and talked to that man, wanted to press charges and blah, blah, blah. And the ambulance is there, and like I say, 9 or 10 cop cars. You would have thought there was a robbery or Bin Laden was there or something. I don't know. But I asked the police officer, I said, do you mind if I pick up my equipment and get it put away so, when I go to jail, we don't have to tear it up or something? He said, go to jail? You're not going to jail. He said, hell, we're thinking about giving you a prize. I started laughing about it, and the police were so very nice. They came out on me again one time when I was doing a business, and the business didn't like me out there, which is, normal. And the police officer comes up. It was a female police officer. I have never met a nicer person in my life. All she asked was, what was I doing? And I told her, and she said, sounds like a pretty good hobby to me. And we talked a little bit, and she said, well, I got to go. I'm a busy person. So I go down the road a ways and go to another place, and I'm standing outside of their establishment, and guess who comes up? The police. And the man got out and asked me what I was doing, and he says, "Have you been on their property?" And I said, "No, sir, I've been standing here in the street the whole time." He said, "Well, they said you walked up on their driveway." And I said, "Well, that is a right of way for people. That is a walkway for people." I said, "We get 3 feet inside anyone's yard, whether it's, cemented in or not, because that's just Texas law." Now I said, it's a 3-foot easement, and I was within that 3-foot easement. And he said, "So you weren't in their yard at all?" And I said, "No, sir, I never walked in their yard." And he said, "You can stay or you can go. It doesn't matter to me, but I'm going to go talk to these people and tell them what a easement is." But I've also found that some of these policemen have no idea about a 3-foot easement. I don't know if they're lying or if they just don't know. But it's the strangest thing I've ever seen. They don't want me walking in the road, but they don't want me walking in the grass. In the state of Texas, I don't know about anywhere else, you walk facing the traffic. You always walk facing the traffic on the sidewalk if there is one provided. If not, you are free to walk on the land, the dirt, the grass, the whatever's there. You are allowed to walk on that without any problem. It's 32 feet 3 3/4 inches from the center line of the road, unless it's a double road. And then you double that number. So I just wanted to take this time to put out there that if you get pulled over by a Temple police officer, if you act nice, they'll be nice right back. But I'm sure if you're an asshole, they're going to be an asshole right back. But one cop told me one time, I said, me being out here filming, I figured y'all come up here and tackle me, try to knock my head off and choke me to death or something. I don't know what the hell y'all might be trying to do. And he said, "Is that what you want?" And I said, "No, not really." And he said, "Well, there's no real reason for me to be rude about this. This is something that happens all the time. And even though I don't know anything about the 3-foot easement, I asked him, I said, "Do you own a home?" And he said, "Yes, I do." I said, "Does it have a sidewalk in front of it?" He said, "Well, yes, it does." And I said, "Well, that's your 3-foot easement. It's everywhere. It's a state law, and there's nothing you can do about it." So with that, I'm going to sign off. I apologize. I do not have a Dr. Pepper can here with me today, but I will promote Dr. Pepper. It is the finest drink in the world, and if you drink anything other than Dr. Pepper, then you're drinking the wrong drink. Except for the president, he drinks Fanta. We're going to let him get away with that one. But I bet if I gave him a Dr. Pepper, he'd drop that Fanta in a heartbeat. So, happy Sunday to everybody. Hope you have a beautiful day. I'm hoping to do 1 or maybe 2 of these a day, but I have to come up with things to talk about. And a lot of times, you have so many things on your mind you want to talk about. A lot of times, those go away the minute you turn that camera on. So, good luck to you, and God be with you, and God bless America, and let's get all of these foreigners out of here as soon as possible.